And welcome back to the quarterfinals. We are about to start our debate. As always, we take the top 8 ranked from Board Game Geek that we both have played, and let's go over those listings now.
That would be the number 1 seed, Fireball Island, that's ranked at 1007, facing the 8th seed, Gravwell, ranked at 1049.
And then we have our number 2 seed, Welcome to the Dungeon,
which is ranked at 1011.
And our number 7 seed, Atlantis Rising 2nd Edition,
which is ranked at 1046. Our number 3 seed, Sentient, which is at 1015, facing our number 6 seed, Dead Man's Draw, which is ranked at 1043.
And our number 4 seed, Unmatched,
which is ranked at 1018.
Versus our number 5 seed, Cosmic Encounter,
which is ranked at 1040, and this is the 1977 edition.
Cool. All right. Are we ready to get into this?
Yes, and as always, just a reminder, we go through a series of topics that we break down as in other ways, this way to make it as fair as possible. It's ease of play, replay value, meaningful choice, game immersion, and analysis, or art and production. I put it under A&P. So
analysis production. Yeah.
Art and production, and those have their own breakdowns, which we won't go into, but those are the 5 categories we break all these games down.
Cool. All right. So our number 1 seed, Fireball Island, versus our number 8 seed, Gravwell. I know I do personally have a favorite amongst these two.
I know which one your favorite's amongst these two. I don't have a favorite amongst these two. These are probably my 2 least favorite games on this list.
Yeah, that's true. So I will take Gravwell.
I will take Fireball Island. And unfortunately for Gravwell, I already know one category it loses.
What's that?
Art production.
Yeah. I mean, and so part of the biggest problem with the art and production in Gravwell, the art isn't that bad. The production is pretty decent. They sold it for $35. And it has 26 cards, a board, and 6 pawns.
Board out there.
That's it. Yeah, the board is a spiral, but I mean it's in space and it looks okay. The remake of it has much better art as well, too. So the version that you and I play, or have played, is the first edition one with lesser art. The newer one has much more defining art, and the cover looks pretty, and it's quite a bit better. It's an improvement for sure. But I just dislike that was a really hard sell to justify $35 retail for 7 pawns, a board, and 26 cards. That's it. No matter how good the quality was, that's a lot for that game. However, the game itself uses a really cool mechanism where you are going to be playing cards. They are elements, so each one you might be playing magnesium versus argon, and it goes in order, alphabetical order on who gets to move. So, for example, argon in that case would move first. Now, the thing is, you move your ship towards the closest other ship, because that's how gravity works. You're basically trying to use this multiplayer slingshot thing going. And so the idea is that if you're the farthest ahead, you don't want to go first. You want to wait till after everybody has jumped ahead of you. And even then, you might play a movement card that has a lower number than normal, because you don't want to risk jumping backwards that much. It has a pretty great drafting mechanism at the beginning of it, which I like. 13 cards are laid face down. 13 cards are dealt on top of those. So you draft a pile, so you get 2 cards and you only get to know one of them prior to the draft. What else you get is just what you get. I like it a lot. I think this is a really phenomenal game. I understand why people don't like some of the mechanisms and don't like that slingshotty thing, and like they claim, and I know you're one of them, and I don't disagree with it. But I do think that there's a lot more forethought into what you're playing than an average than a lot of like a flip and move. Whereas like Fireball Island, that is really just a flip and move. Or not a flip and move, but like you just play a card from your hand, whatever just makes sense at the time. It seems like there's less of a meaningful choice as far as the card play. But like I said, I get why this is super polarizing. I understand why a lot of people played it and go, wow, that was unpleasant.
It was a very unpleasant game. I almost quit going to game night because you made me play that game.
I don't remember what about it that made you that upset.
It it's boring. It's bland to look at. It's a boring game. Yeah, it's neat that that whole gravity thing. That was one of the few games my wife almost rage quit. She was so bored to tears.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, we just did not enjoy that game at all.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I'm okay with with Fireball Island moving on because I know that gets way more love than Gravwell, but I do think Gravwell appeals to my abstract.
The reason why I think Fireball Island moves on, yeah, you're saying that when it comes to the card play, you're just playing the best card at the time. But that doesn't mean it doesn't lead to a meaningful choice. It's just it means it makes it simpler for you to play as a family rather than Gravwell where you're playing as who's the better gamer. This one is just to play together as a family. You're trying to move, to collect the pictures, make sure the fireball doesn't throw you all around and trying to escape to the helicopter. I'm not a huge fan of Fireball Island. I'm not going to lie. It's probably my least favorite restoration game. I also remember not liking Gravwell when...
R3... E3, did I actually make you play it? I mean, that would have had to been a number of years ago when I lived up in Albuquerque. I'm sorry that it scarred you that badly.
yeah. See, I have a mutual acquaintance over here about having to be forced to play Gravwell. Let's just say, out of these two games, if I was forced to play another one, I would play Fireball Island. And you know I'm not a huge fan of Fireball Island.
Yeah.
I like the card play. It's probably my least favorite restoration games, as I was saying. But for me, it's just the better game because you can play it.
Yeah, it wasn't forced. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. As I said, I'm going to say that to sympathize with Danny more. Well, thank you.
But ease of play, Fireball Island is so much easier game to play. So I'm going to give you that. And I'm also going to give art and production to Fireball Island.
Yes, agreed.
The reason why I give ease of play is, if we even go into it, but the fact that it's made to be played with children and families, where dads can play with their sons, and moms and daughters, and all that can be played together as a family, makes it such an easier game to play.
Everybody
meaningful
understands
choices,
that.
I'll give Gravwell meaningful choices just because of the fact that the way it impacts your long-term strategy and other players. And there's a lot more arbitrary choices in Fireball Island. I'm not going to give you that. But that's the only one I'm giving to Gravwell. Replay value. All the expansions that go with Fireball Island that they printed. As well as the game immersion. I've seen more families have fun in jumping on the table when they did something to knock someone over, or they stole the right card from someone else's hand.
No, as far as game immersion, though, even if we gave it to Gravwell, I do think that it does have a pretty good argument because that slingshot gravity thing moving towards the close to other player is a really immersive thing. And of course, as soon as you get into the void, the black hole in the middle, you lose your gravity, and then they don't count for gravities, and you have the derelict ships that you can help maneuver with. I think there's more to it than what you're thinking, but at best I would call it a wash. So either way. I would
not even call that a wash. Theme matching mechanisms. You're trying to collect things and get treasures and leave the island before it blows up. That matches the theme of Fireball Island.
Right. But that in the same thing, you're trying to escape the void, and you have to use gravity to do it. But as far as memorable moments go,
Gravwell can't even touch Fireball Island. I remember, I'm not liking this game, and I've had more memorable moments. The only memorable moment I have at Gravwell is almost leaving game night after you made me play it.
Oh man, I've seen some really fun things that have happened in Gravwell. But once again, I know I understand why people don't like it, and I understand why I prefer it. But yeah, let's go ahead and push Forbidden Island on.
Fireball Island.
Forbidden Island.
If this was Forbidden Island, that would have been an easy takedown.
That's true. So Fireball Island moves on. All right. Why are you chuckling over there? I had to defend it. That's the job of the game.
There is nothing to defend about that game.
You're not defending. You're offending with it.
Yeah. All right. Man. So our next one in the quarterfinals is Welcome to the Dungeon versus the Atlantis Rising 2nd Edition.
I'm trying to figure out if I still own Gravwell.
Is that bad of a game? It's unmemorable.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I do. But come to think of it, I don't know where it is. Huh. Oh, there it is. Okay, it's in my racing games category. Alright, sorry. Welcome to the Dungeon versus Atlantis Rising. I do have a preference for this one as well.
I do have a preference as well.
What would be your preference?
Atlantis Rising?
Mine would be the same. So, and that's because I personally didn't like Welcome to the Dungeon all that much.
Nor did I.
Atlantis Rising was fun. I have trouble saying it seems like right now, ever since the Kickstarter happened, it's kind of like the big rage. Everybody's like, oh my god, this is the next best like cooperative game. I wouldn't say that personally.
Well, I wouldn't say
enjoyed
it's the next best cooperative game, but I did enjoy it. I think it's probably my second favorite game on our top 8 here.
Sure.
I really dig the way it plays, where you're trying to keep the island from sinking, or Atlantis from sinking. How if you're taking a risk if you go further down the line, but you have to pay more if you want to be safer. I do love that concept of it. The art, and this is probably one of the most beautiful games out there. We've argued the Vincent Dutray art last week on the top 8 debate. This one, I think, is probably one of the prettiest games out there. And it's so simple when it comes to its pretty, too. Like, the tiles, there's nothing really going on in the tiles, but they're just gorgeous to look at.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. I don't know. There's something about, like, those 6 spires that are just kind of sticking out from it that look weird to me. But that's just, I don't know. Like, maybe I'm just being overly critical. But that's
You're
compared
being very
to...
overly critical.
I'm trying to be fair about
games, I'd rather play Atlantis Rising. And
yes,
for me,
I agree.
There's just much more going on. Welcome to, I barely remember it. In fact, when I say Welcome to, it makes me think of a whole different other game. Which I prefer 10 times more than Welcome to the Dungeon.
Well, I will try and make an argument for Welcome to the Dungeon. I will try. It's an Antoine Bauza game. It's a very simple communal dungeon delve style game, but it's really a press your luck. What you're doing is you know that you have certain weapons and certain items that can defeat certain monsters better than others. On your turn, you're pretty much picking up a card from the dungeon deck and determining based on that if you're going to continue delving in. This continues until one person takes one of the item cards and says, okay, I'm passing, and it continues until there's one person remaining who must go through the dungeon. That player does have to go through and encounter everything there, although it might be better for them because they get access to all the other weapons that were made available. It's not a bad game. I do understand why it gets the love it is and why it's our second seed and why it had a vote. I truly do believe that. But it's just a group push your luck game, and as far as that goes, I don't feel like it would compare to something like, say, Ink and Gold or other group push your luck games. Celestia.
Celestia is probably my favorite group push your luck game. Yeah. This is not even the best push your luck game on this list.
Right. Yeah. You're right. I don't disagree with that.
Here's my issue with this. This came out I played this around the same time I played Boss Monster, where it's the group kind of RPG-ish kind of thing, but where is at least with Boss Monster, you're doing more to affect the other player, but they're still being able to affect it. This one is just like, okay, I'm trying to do this, and I'm trying to bid to say, hey, I'm going to go here first. And if I had to choose between this and Boss Monster, I'd probably play Boss Monster. And I'm not a huge fan of Boss Monster either. Yeah. I just think Boss Monster does what it's trying to do in Welcome to a lot better.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't disagree with that. Whereas if we look at Atlantis Rising, it's a set collection, fulfilling contract, cooperative game. So you're
basically trying to light up all the, I think it's like the 7 different forges or something like that to make sure the thing doesn't sink. And you're trying to do it in smart ways, and you're using asymmetrical powers depending on which character you are. So, and you're all working together as a team. I really dig Atlantis Rising. I played it the one time, and again, Welcome to is another game I only played once. But Atlantis Rising might be because it's more recent, but also I just remember how much fun we had. And we played a full contingent at the shop when I played it. I think it was like the full 4 or 5 players that you're allowed, and I really did enjoy this one.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with Atlantis Rising going on because I do believe truly it is the better game between the two. So let's put that up against Fireball Island for the next round. Awesome. Our next one is our number 3 seed.
I think it's been a while
Sentient.
since we've had a 7 seed move on.
It has. It definitely has. But hey, let's see if it continues. Maybe it'll be an upset.
Yeah? Okay, so...
So we have Sentient now versus Dead Man's Draw. I own and like both of these games a lot.
So... This one is kind of like the first and 8 seed. I don't hate that. I don't have hard feelings towards both of these games. Dead Man Draw is probably something I enjoy. Sentient, I was okay with.
I love that resounding review. This is probably something I enjoy? Question mark.
It's just that when it comes to push your luck, there's better push your luck games. Well, we did the whole top 8 debate of press your luck, and as much as Dead Man Draw is there, it just doesn't give me that fun that I have with press your luck, a la Celestia above us, or above me over here.
Yeah.
I guess I'll take Sentient, but to me this is kind of a wash. I think Sentient is the better game out of the two here.
Yeah.
It's a worker placement game. It is interesting how you got to do things. So you're like these corporations trying to outbid the other players to get the stuff from it. That much I remember. And it's tough to get the. It's not easy to play though. For Dead Man Draw, it's going to win easy to play hands down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because.
And that's not to say Sentient is hard. It's really not.
It's hard to grasp in the beginning, I think, I have to say. Dead Man Draw is simple. You keep pushing your luck. You don't want to match something, or else things are going to blow up in your face and it's not going to work out for you.
Right.
There's nothing easier than that.
Yeah, it really doesn't get much. I mean, that's why blackjack is so popular in casinos, you know? Because people feel like they truly understand it without having to read books and of statistics and
And then having to read other players, too, like in Dead Man's Draw and stuff like that. Blackjack. Poker, you have to read other players, so yeah.
Yep, exactly. So it sounds like you would rather have Dead Man's Draw. We'll go quickly over some of them. Art and production, I think, would go to Sentient. Yeah, because the production is... Now, that's not to say Dead Man's Draw is bad, but, I mean, the production is great for just... It's a card game. It's really good quality cards. And, you know, the art on it is phenomenal. We talked about it during the Vincent Dutrait game.
Yeah, but the art in Sentient's really nice.
Yep.
The little meeples for the workers are really nice, or whatever they are in that game. I can't. Is it meeples or is it?
Yeah, you have meeples, but then you also
the
have like the little
gorgeous in that
hex
game.
tokens. Yep, the cards are gorgeous. Yeah.
The cardboard layout puzzle thing, that's pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would give art and production to Sentient. Sure.
And another reason why I give it to Sentient too is when we go down to art and production, when we go to design, the design fits Sentient so well to the game.
Yeah, it really does. Whereas Dead Man's Draw, you know, unless you know the symbols, you have to reference everything. Now, granted, there's still symbology in Sentient, but like the plus minus up in the corners, that's very clear of what you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, meaningful choice though, that would obviously go to Sentient. Just because
you have to be smart about what you're doing in that game. If you make an arbitrary choice in that game, just randomly put someone out there, it's going to hurt you and take you out of that game.
Yep, exactly. Or at least for that round.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Dead Man's Draw, push your luck. That's the beauty of the simplicity of it. But whereas player interaction, or like let's say replay value, I don't know that if there is a sequel to Sentient or if there's an expansion. I think that there was, but I would give it to Dead Man's Draw just because of how easy it is to get to the table and the push your luck aspect of it.
But see, the easy really to the dramatic. Table is under easy play, not into replay value.
Oh, that's true. But replay value, I do think Dead Man's Draw is easier to get, or not easier to get to the table. It is, but I feel like it's likely that
honestly,
it'll come back
I would
to
give
the table.
replay, for me personally, I'd give replay value to Sentient because we go down the breakdown. Other than the length of time and the scaling well, which Dead Man Draw wins hands down.
Yeah.
The minimum number of plays for a full experience. You play one game of Dead Man's Draw, you play one game. There is variability in Sentient, and then the fact of expandability, again, because of that variability, makes it more likely to play. And I believe there was an expansion for Sentient. I can actually look that up while we're here.
Yeah, while you're looking, we'll do that. And then immersion, though. Immersion is, I mean, you don't know what the theme is on Sentient. You
Not
don't
really.
interact with the other players. There's never those big moments in Sentient. There's just kind of like a lull at the end of every round where you're like, okay, let's see what I didn't break. Whereas Dead Man's Jaw, you really are like, oh, I busted out a cannon, boom, there goes your mermaid. Take that.
Does not look like there was an expansion to Sentient.
Yeah, maybe like a promo or something.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing anything here.
Okay.
So
That would still give it to Sentient, I believe.
I
Does that
think
give it
Sentient.
to Meaningful Choice, all those. So Sentient moves on.
Yep.
All right. And so Sentient will be going against the winner of our next round, which will be Unmatched versus Cosmic Encounter.
1977.
Okay. Which one would you like to take? I know which one is your favorite between the two.
I'm gonna say my favorite is Unmatched.
Yep.
I'll take Unmatched.
Okay.
Say what you will about the Cosmic Encounter. I think Unmatched is the better game per se because it feels more like a game because you're actually manipulating how things work, whereas in Cosmic Encounter you're manipulating the other players, and which can be in a game upon itself, but it's more about the manipulation and using your abilities to your fullest extent. Where I think Unmatched, the reason why I like it is I've always wanted to play a really good tacticals mini game that I enjoy, like an X-Wing or an Armada or any of those, like Tail Feathers from Mice and Mystics.
Yeah.
And I could never find it, and then I played Funkoverse, and I liked it, but I had issues. Not that I hated it, but there was a little bit of issues that
it was more
had
random.
with it.
Sure.
Yeah, there was a bit more random in it, and I understand what they were going for because they're making it more light-friendly. The only randomness that you get on Match is the cards you draw. That's it. You shuffle your cards and whatever they draw, but you can manipulate and play those cards to the best of your ability. And the reason why I liked on Match so much is that it feels thematic. If you're playing King Arthur and Merlin, you really feel like you're playing King Arthur and Merlin because of the abilities that they have and the stuff that you're doing. Just the way things work. If you're playing as Alice in Wonderland with the Cheshire Cat, it feels thematic in this sense because the Cheshire Cat can disappear on the board and move around as you need be, and Alice goes big and small and makes it harder for you to fight her when she's taking those drinks and make her big and tall. And Sinbad uses a lot of time mechanisms. The way Dom was using it was incredible, where he was bouncing around the board and you're like, come on, man, I gotta hit you. Bouncing.
Yeah. Stay still for a minute. What's wrong with you?
So I really do enjoy Unmatched in that sense. And in fact, the newest expansion that just came out for it, I think it's Cobble and Fog is what it's called. Mm-hmm. I want that version for it. So I liked all the other versions and stuff that's coming out, but if I had to buy one, it's going to be Cobble and Fog because I watched the Dice Tower review of it, and the characters that are in it are Dracula, Mr. Hyde, and Dr. Jekyll. Mm-hmm. Who else? Sherlock Holmes and the Invisible Man. And the way they work in that game fits so thematically how those characters work. And you know I'm a big Universal monster movie fan and like the classic monsters. So Invisible Man and Dracula in this one, as well as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I'm down. And then the way they played it, I haven't even played it, and I think I would like that version just because the mechanics of how it works.
Okay, that's fair. All right, Cosmic Encounter. Let me make my argument for it. This is the 1977 version, so it loses on art and production.
Honestly, looking at I pulled up the page this way I can get a little bit more familiar if I had to argue it. The production or the art of it's not that bad. It looks like an old school 1960s, 70s
like sci-fi
comic
cover.
Book.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, the art is okay. The production is it's an old game. It's from the 70s, so the production just can't be as good as especially Unmatched. But here's the thing. So Cosmic Encounter, it gets thrown into the pit with like party games because technically it can play a lot of players. With your same argument, I would say it's definitely more immersive and it's a close call, but let me explain why. I agree with you that each of your characters, the theme matches the mechanisms on how the characters work. You know, if you're King Arthur and you have Merlin, you know, you're going to be doing that. Whereas it's put in the setting of like Like it really does feel like your characters are playing as their characters, right, based on their movements. But the same goes for the aliens in Cosmic Encounter. They each give you a game-breaking ability based on what kind of alien they are. So if you're like this massive, giant floating orb, I'm just making that up. I don't actually know if there is one. But like it's gonna be a lot harder.
Here, hold on. I got a picture. I could pull up a picture of it. Hold on, real quick.
Okay. But yeah.
So you're saying giant orb, huh? There is like a blob-like race in here from what I'm seeing.
So what does the blob do? Does it say?
No, I'm just looking at the picture of it.
Okay.
So,
but every character that you have in Cosmic Encounter is drastically different and breaks the rules in different ways, the same way that you would expect an unmatched character to do so. But then you also have the added theme of you are basically using diplomacy and beating each other up in warfare to put your influence on other people's planets. That adds the same amount of like character dynamics with that added level of immersion, because that really is like there is so much awesome negotiation in this game, and that's what makes it so thematic. So art and production, yes.
Just to be real quick, it might get a little loud here. My recyclable's picking up.
Okay, thank you for the heads up. So as of ease of play, I would give that to unmatched, obviously, just because Cosmic Encounter, it's actually a simpler game, but it's harder to comprehend. Yes. So I give it that. And art and production also goes to unmatched. But meaningful choice immersion, I think that's Cosmic Encounter personally. Because it really does feel like you have the strong diplomacy. Replay value. No, I mean if not as much, or if not more than as much. Definitely.
So for the way we do game immersion, I think the theme matching the mechanism works a lot better in unmatched.
I
because
disagree.
Everybody plays differently. Now, you have a special power when you're using an alien race.
Yes,
but when it
the
comes
goal
down
of the
to
game
it,
is
you're
to
playing the but here's the thing: you're playing the other players rather than playing your race. When you're playing unmatched, you're playing your character.
No, yeah, but I mean the idea is that the theme in Cosmic Encounter is you're spreading your influence to other planets. You only do that through negotiation, diplomacy, and warfare. That makes a lot of sense.
It does, and like I said, but the thing is, again, you're not playing the character. You have your special ability that you will use, but unmatched, you're playing King Arthur. King Arthur is going to play differently than, say, Bigfoot or Robin Hood or any of those.
Yeah, but you're just running around a field and beating each other up. Like that's
you're doing the same thing in Cosmic Encounter.
No, you're actively negotiating. But as far as the immersion goes, the bigger moments happen in Cosmic Encounter, definitely. I mean, the memorable moments is definitely Cosmic Encounter.
Yeah, I'll give you that, because
so even if we call it a wash, I played both
of these games. I'm not gonna lie, but.
And then the player interaction is what sets it. So either way, immersion goes to Cosmic.
Yeah, but I'm not giving you theme matching mechanism, because I think playing the character is more thematic than being, hey, I can clone what your special ability. Oh, that's kind of cool, but it's more about, hey, you want to help me take out this island, or you want to help me defend this planet?
Sure.
And to the point, the Game of Thrones version of this game is more thematic than the Space Alien version of this game.
True. I mean, I don't disagree with that, because all they had to do was just impose the characters onto the characters. I'll give you that. But then that makes it incredibly thematic. That is like one of the most thematic games I own.
Yeah, but that's not the one we're arguing.
True. Let's see what Ithri said. I agree with not Danny. While powers in Cosmic Encounter are flavorful and cool, they either matter all the time or not at all. Most of the game is just hoping that you have good cards to play in your hand. Pointless. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. The as far as the characters go, they are better and unmatched. But the whole theme of the game, I feel like it's very, very strong. You are spreading your influence, in weird ways and ways to manipulate it. But let's talk about replay value. Cosmic Encounter. No, Cosmic Encounter, hands down. Because
but see, here's the problem, and you've made this distinguishing. We're playing we're debating the 1977 version.
Okay. How many expansions did that have?
The expandability goes into the Mayfair version as well as the Fantasy Flight version.
Yes. Yeah.
You can't expand that. You've made it very
No,
clear we're arguing the 1977 version.
Right, they had expansions for the original version.
And Unmatched is already confirmed another expansion. You have your base game, which was the first one, Unmatched Volume 1. You have Bruce Lee.
Okay.
You have the Bigfoot. You have the Robin Hood one. I think it's Bigfoot Robin Hood was its own expansion. You also have the Cobble and Fog. You have Injun versus the Raptors.
Okay, so even if I give you that, though, as far as minimum numbers of plays for full experience, if you're trying to play and see how each of the aliens work, there's slews of more aliens than there are characters in Unmatched.
Cosmic Encounter page over here.
Sure.
How many?
And then player range and scale. Cosmic Encounter is a quicker game than Unmatched. Even if they're at the same, that only plays 2 to 4 versus up to 8 something, at least 8 for Cosmic Encounter.
But with Cosmic Encounter, the minimum number of plays, other than learning the whole new race and how they play, if you play one game of Cosmic Encounter, the only difference you're getting is learning how to play a different race.
And that's the only difference in Unmatched, too.
Not necessarily, because you got to learn a whole new set of cards. You got to the characters are so asymmetric and Unmatched. You have to learn how to play those characters as you're going along. The game is going to feel different if I'm playing Alice versus Bruce Lee. If I'm playing as Bruce Lee, that's going to play differently than when I played as King Arthur.
Sure.
So it's going to give me a more number of plays for me to get the full experience.
But still not as much as just trying each of the characters in Cosmic. There's just too many. There's like 30-something characters.
Yeah, I'm not giving you that one.
No, then
just for the simple fact that, again, the whole point of Cosmic Encounters, yes, each race gets their own ability, and there's a plethora of them, but that's not the basis of the game. They have one special power, but the whole point of the game is to negotiate and work with other players.
Right.
That's the basis of the game.
Right. And the basis of the game is to use
your
character to beat up the other player.
If I played as the Oracle race, I'm not going to play much different than if I play with the lasers, other than maybe I can make someone play blind. That's the only difference is your special ability. The cards themselves in Unmatched are completely different from each race as you go along, so you're going to get more plays.
They're not completely different.
Oh, they're a lot different. Have you not looked through the cards?
Yes, I did, and they're not. My character, sure, it acts very differently than yours, but the cards themselves, like they're half of them are the same cards as other players.
No, I can't give you this one.
Let's call it a wash, if nothing else.
Because honestly,
the
way we go about it, Up to the Future 1 confirmed. There is a bunch of confirms. There's a lot of standalone expansions.
Okay. And since the 1977 version, I don't know how many expansions that version had.
It's not showing any. It only shows the reimplementation. And like when you go into the reimplementations of the Cosmic Encounters, that will show you the expansions that they have. I don't think the original version had an expansion until it moved over to Mayfair.
Okay. Then, because it's the 77 version, just know that its rear would be handed to it if it was the newer versions.
Oh, yeah.
But then, since it's 77, we'll give that to Unmatched.
Yeah, because I'm actually looking at the other versions. The Mayfair version had a couple expansions that is showing on the list here.
Yeah, and the Fantasy Flight version
as well as the Fantasy Flight has a bunch of expansions that shows here.
Okay, so just so long as we agree that we really do think that the additional content would destroy it, had it been Fantasy Flight or Mayfair.
Yeah, had it been the Fantasy Flight.
All right, that's fair. Which
or
means
the Mayfair one.
That's
Mayfair
the 3 points go to Unmatched. Although I would have argued meaningful choices it would have gone to Cosmic. Yeah, because of how much you impact the others, and you said it yourself, like poker, you're reading the people. You have to know when people are bluffing.
But I can make arbitrary choices in Cosmic Encounters and still be able to win.
No, you couldn't.
Yes, I could. Someone would be like, "Hey, you want to join me?" Sure, I'll join you. Here, I'll put this in. I'm not making the choice. I'm just like, "Hey, I'll just jump in with you." Sure.
We need to try it
later on.
You and I need to play it again. I don't think you and I have actually been in the same game of Cosmic Encounter, but. And
the reason why I say that in that simple fact is, Cosmic Encounter leads itself to Kingmake. I was the only one that lost in my game of Cosmic Encounter because everybody else decided to win together.
Oh, so you're upset about it. Got it.
No, I'm not upset about it. I'm saying there's a possibility of Kingmaking. Whereas
Sure.
you have to play Unmatched smartly. You have to play your cards right. You have to take down the other player right.
But you could absolutely Kingmake in Unmatched. If you and me went up against Dom, we could destroy him.
But the thing is, it's 2 or 4. You can't play...
You can't play with 3. Sure, but then that's what I'm saying is, like, if we play 4 players, then
you're
3
playing
of
as
us...
teams.
Okay, all right. You got a point. I forgot about that. All right, I'll admit. So, Unmatched goes on.
Yep.
Because it's the 1977 version of Cosmic.
Honestly, out of these 2, I would prefer Unmatched, even if it was the Fantasy Flight version.
I would still prefer Cosmic, personally.
And here's why I would prefer the Unmatched. I don't have to rely on other people because I'm playing smartly. It's the reason why I would play blackjack over poker, because I don't want to be able to have to read. I can read people, I just don't want to have to do it. I want to play my game how I want to play my game. I don't want to rely on others.
That's true. I noticed that's a very big thing with when playtesting, especially.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, so then that means Unmatched went on, beating Cosmic Encounter. So we now have the top 4 seed, or no, top 4 seed with
Fireball Island, number 1 seed, facing the number 7 seed, Atlantis Rising. 3 and 4 seeds are going up against each other, Sentient and Unmatched. But the 2 seed got taken down. So just for we can get votes here, Cosmic Encounter had 3.
Okay.
Dead Man's Draw had 1. Welcome to the Dungeon had 1, and Grabwell had 1.
All right. So a lot of our ones mixed.
Are gone.
So we're going to take a quick pause before we go into our next round, and then stay tuned.